This video is about my first stage performance, and it was totally not planned. Like, okay, so to start with, that day, me, my mother, and my sister I had to go on to the Kawasaki La Zona. It's like a huge shopping mall where we, had some shopping and ate lunch there. And on the way to our home back, we saw a beautiful kawaii piano just kept on this stage. It was a huge stage and lighting were perfect, like on point. And yeah, the moment we saw, we thought it was like a scheduled performance. But to our surprise, it turned out to be a street piano. So the thing with street piano, those type of things, is that like you can just go on and perform on the stage, but like you should have some decency of playing at least, to not make complete fool out of you. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's about it. But like before actually performing, you would need to have some, like warm-up session. So I asked my mother if I can just go in the store and find a piano to practice for a while before actually performing. And also the fact that like I hadn't played in a very long time, about like 3 weeks, so I really had to practice before I begin with the performance. And since we were in a like huge shopping center, it was like no hard to find a store with piano in it. So I started practicing to like warm up my stiff fingers. And the really awesome thing being that my mother and my sister were just right next to me to motivate me while I was practicing, to perform. I was constantly thinking of how I would like manage to pull off the performance in front of huge audience. So my practice session was like I revised the piece that I was gonna perform and focus more on the parts that I was weak at. So like after 30 minutes of practice, I had built some confidence, before heading back to the open stage, I excused myself to the washroom to fix my hair because it's an impression in front of a huge crowd. So, I was trying to look as good as I could be. And after that, the time finally came. The part of me wanted to quit and not try, but I gathered some hope and courage. At that moment, to be honest, like my mother was my biggest supporter. She said, "Chinta nagar, bhai huncha, nabhae kehi chaina," which basically translates to like, "Don't worry. If it goes well, it goes well, and if it doesn't, then no worries." So I was nervously waiting for my turn. There were like 4 people in front of me, and they all played really well one by one. Like their music was on point. Their note accuracy was really good, and this just added to my nervousness as everyone was performing really well, and I thought I might mess up my performance if just in case, so I told my sister to record the video for me. I told her to record from a certain angle that will look really great. And an old lady was just heading off the stage, and the crowd cheered with applause. Like it was really wholesome performance. And when it was my turn, I wondered if I'll get meaningful applause from the crowd. I was really hoping for welcoming applause. And the time was there. I slowly made my way to the center of the stage where the piano was kept. The first thing I did was just to adjust the chair because it was not up to my level properly. I sat down nervously and took a deep breath before playing. Now, like my thought at that point was just to not mess up the notes, because that was like my agenda at the moment. The piece was called Nuvole Bianche. It is a great piece that repeats itself twice. For the first half, I was like really nervous, and it reflected in my playing too. Like it was much easier to practice than to perform, to be honest. However, for the like repeat part, I was sort of able to play with a bit of ease and more confidence. It's like I could feel myself light, and I actually like played great the second half. So rather than the first half where I was just like trying to get every note right and paid little attention to melody and harmony, but then the second half was like okay, fairly good. It was a rough performance with like few mistakes, to be honest, but I was able to like complete my piece. And when I got to bow down to the crowd, they actually blessed me with applause. That was like the reward I got, which was the highlight of the day. My mother and sister were waiting for me near the exit with excitement. They joked about me getting lots of numbers from the girls too. It was a hilarious point. I got off the stage as quickly as I could because I didn't want no more further attention, because I just blacked out after the performance. Immediately, I head to the exit as I was not able to process what I had just done. It was like a huge thing for me. I mean, even though it was a street piano performance, so it's, I mean, for some people, not a big deal, but it was my first time, bro. Like, come on. So then after that, me, my sister, and my mother, we head to the train station, got in the train. And while being on the train, I put on my headphone and I was like replaying my video again and again until I reached my home, like multitude of times. When I reviewed my recorded video, I was surprised at how well it actually sounded. Or it could be just like in camera, it doesn't sound that bad. I don't really know. But like, I mean, sure, there were a few mistakes, but I was able to play quite well and impressive in front of like a large audience for the very first time. I was really relieved that my performance was actually impressive, and the audience quite seemed to like it and enjoy it. It would not have been possible for me to perform without the persuasion from my mother and sister, to be honest, because they were my supporter. Because the moment I saw the piano, I was like, okay, that looks cool, but I was not like thinking to actually perform. It was their persuasion that drive me to my success. The applause was, of course, the highlight. Like, that just made my day, and I was really grateful to have performed. And yes, I'm really thankful how it ended towards the end. Yeah, thank you so much for listening to me. And here's the video at the end. I clipped out some highlights only because the video is too long, but yeah, I enjoy it.